All right, then. You know, these are certainly times that challenge men's souls. The army takeover of government in Niger Republic challenges not just the West African region, but the whole continent, and if you like, the world at large. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, leaders ordered the activation and deployment of a regional standby force to restore constitutional order in the coup-hit country. But the coup leaders have threatened to kill the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum if neighboring countries attempt any military intervention. Are we in a fix, Dari?
In fact, it's a situation that requires a lot of tact on the part of African leaders. I'll put it that way. This is beyond the
rhetorics.
And it's not about rhetorics.
It's not beyond that, Ashwaju?
It's no. People, especially back home here, just see an Ashwaju situation. And I wonder if they really understand what this means. You see, it is like being between the devil
and the deep blue sea. And the cynic says, why not jump into the deep?
You have to think twice. And look at this situation we have found ourselves. People say ECOWAS or African leaders should not think of fighting a war to restore democracy in Niger. I agree with them that we actually don't need a war now. But what's the alternative? Allow those people have their way? That endangers the democracy in all other countries. The moment nothing is done and the Nigerian coupists have their way, they will encourage others in other countries to strangle democracy.
You know, before Niger, there were five. Niger is the sixth.
Yes. Now. Mali.
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
And the likes. Sudan. Now we have Niger. It is, if something is not done to send that clear message that military rule is no longer fashionable, neither is it acceptable, nor will it be allowed to stay anywhere in Africa, then we have only invited a return to the dark days of goggled generals. And you know what that means? The democracies in most African countries are nascent, struggling, still in the works. And no matter what we say, I keep saying that the worst form of democracy is better than any military rule.
Larry, I've heard that 1,001 times, but let me tease Jide.
Okay.
Jide, but can we counterbalance what he has said against the fact that leadership is still a problem in Africa?
Leadership is a problem in Africa, not just in Africa. But do the generals, do the coupists represent a refreshing breath of air? The answer is no. In all of the places where these brigands have taken power, there's no evidence of improvement. What they keep, and I can understand why West African leaders are angry, because what these guys will tell you is, oh, don't worry, we are going to put a transition to a civilian rule in place and all that. And the next thing he wants to contest.
Wants to transmute.
Yes, yes. That's what they do. How many of them leave? Former chief of army staff in Chad, he became president. He became a cult hero in his country when he led that war against Libyan forces.
Yeah.
You know, and he outflanked Gaddafi's men. And he became a hero in his country.
I think he was there for up to 30 years.
30 years plus. 30 years plus. Then his son, after he was murdered, his son took over, and his son promised a short transition.
And he's still there.
You remind me quickly of Togo.
Is it a short transition
of Togo,
now?
where the son succeeded the father.
Yeah, so now, at the time the son succeeded the father had literally become a civilian president, and the person who succeeded him is not a military leader. Now, what we are saying is, I said a military
Man in uniform.
When he died, he was succeeded by another person in uniform who promised a short transition. What is going on in Chad now? Do we even call it a transition? So it is like taking people for a ride. The leader of the coup in Niger had been commander of the gas brigade for 12 years. Bazoum's offense was that he tried to remove him. And then he moved against the man. Where in the world do you have the commander of the gas brigade for that long? Even Joe Garba didn't last that long. And he's probably the most colorful gas brigade commander in our history. At least I don't know anyone more. He was the one who announced the coup that removed his boss.
Yeah, go on.
Gowon. When Gowon was busy attending an OAU meeting, you know. So, gas brigade commander, realizing that he was going to lose his position, decided to plan a coup. This same man was part of the ECOWAS team in Gambia. An ECOWAS team given the mandate of ensuring that the democracy is in place. Now he's suddenly taking over as military ruler in his country. He said, oh, Bazoum is corrupt, this and that. Oh, if he's corrupt, if Bazoum was the target, why did you tamper with the National Assembly? I mean, you see, it's unfortunate that we have a situation like this. Nobody wants war. But our people are not looking at what these guys have done. All they are after is, oh, Tinubu has come again. Why did Tinubu do this? Tinubu is not ECOWAS. In fact, this matter, ECOWAS is trying to get the AU involved now so that the AU can adopt some of the resolutions of ECOWAS. And once AU adopts the resolution of ECOWAS, AU can even move from there and get the United Nations involved. I mean, these guys they don't have capacity. The people talking about war, they don't have capacity. They were the ones saying that they've closed airspace, which airspace that you cannot defend. You don't have air defenses. You are now complaining that France entered your airspace. Do you have air defense?
But there's this talk about big boys waiting in the wings to strike, to come into the picture.
Which big boys? You mean
Russia and so on, China?
Some of these things are just meant to blackmail us. They talk about Wagner. Yeah. Who has seen Wagner's men on ground? People just say all kinds of. Who has seen them on ground in Niger? Niger is a failed state, a proper failed state. Even before these people took over, most parts of Niger, nobody is in charge.
All right.
That's my concern.
Let's make some more money. We're going on another commercial break. Please stay with us. We are not done yet.
Be the white card. Be the white card. I'm your big fan too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, brother.
Me gun myself, I'm a rapper.
Is that so?
Hey, me love me no, any day, any weather. And I'm chilling with my main guy, Fena.
Alpha, network problem.
Yes, what got me?
Let me turn on my hotspot.
It have got it.
You hop on 9 Mobile confirm data. You can't be out here stranded in this street, so this guy.
When you're on 9 confirm from 9 Mobile, you get a super gift of 1,000 naira just for joining the network. 900% bonus on every recharge. 100% data bonus for 6 months and double data bonus on your first recharge of the month.
Get a new SIM or dial star 1400 hash now.
9 Mobile.
All right, welcome back. We're still talking Chad. Dari, let me tease you a little. Have you noticed that almost all the 6 countries in Africa ruled by khaki boys are Francophone countries, former Francophone countries, if you understand? Does it tell you anything?
Oh, well, you see, there is no form of colonialism that is good. No memory of how we were ruled forcefully is interesting. So whether it's Francophone or by Anglophone lords, it's the same thing. However, I think it has to do with the orientations of the military boys in these countries and the readiness of the people to resist. Because if we look at, let's take a look at these countries. Look at Sudan. Currently, what you have is a war situation between two rival brigands, as BK will call them. Then go to Burkina Faso. It has been from one coup to the other. And from way back in the 70s, every coup in Burkina Faso attracts shares from the people.
Just like Niger.
Just like the one in Niger. There has not been any organized resistance to coupists in these countries. It's unlike what happened in other West African or African countries.
That the Nigerians, for instance, should have resisted.
There should have been some form, until recently when one of the former warlords says...
in Sudan, the people rose against...
But in Sudan...
the military regime, they lost their lives. But those guys still... They
are still protesting. And that's why you find a seemingly fairer situation is that we are possibly, with the people's continued resistance, these warlords, we know they are not welcome. Yeah. But if we have seen the same situation in Burkina Faso, let's not talk about Mali, a country I would say became war-weary. And the people are like, look, whatever happens, let's just have peace. Maybe that explains what happened in... but you can look at Gambia. When the former president tried to lord it over people, they rose in support of Adama, and we saw what happened. So gradually, the people of these Francophone countries will realize the need to take their destiny in their own hands. Niger will be an example that it will be beyond what you do with your people. And that's why if it takes some form of military action to tell these khaki boys in Niger that we will not allow this to happen anywhere in Africa again, we better do it now. Because it is like a season film. It's just moving from one place to the other. Yeah. We have seen it happen in too many countries in West Africa. And it is high time we say it won't go further.
Enough is
enough. And the people can only be helped by the external forces. And that is why, rather than this condemnation from some funny quarters, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our own president, should be encouraged to continue the leadership role he's playing over this matter.
There are people, people are making it look like it's a one-man resolution.
As if he's declaring war all by himself.
It's not. ECOWAS made the resolution. I do not even think that that our president is more concerned about this matter than the Togolese president. Yes. There are some West African countries who feel genuinely afraid that this could get to them. I don't think our president has that fear that military could take over here. But some of those smaller countries, this West Coast, they are really, really worried. And that's why they are standing up to this. Yeah. You can see the Senegalese president, he does not want what has happened. The Togolese president. So it's not Tinubu alone who hates what has happened and wants to resist it.
So what do you expect to happen next?
No, the president has prioritized dialogue. And that's why you see, when Sanusi went to that place, he came back. His was a solo mission. But he came back and briefed the president about what transpired. Just like Henry Kissinger, who went to China.
Yeah.
You know?
To broker.
Yes, probably the greatest diplomat of his generation. And you saw what he did in that place, trying to bring China and the U.S. together as friends. So some of these solo moves can work. I believe it can work. I believe that Nigeria as a country should be able to exert maximum influence on Niger Republic, because there is a country heavily dependent on Nigeria. I've been told that even some of their leaders, they will give them house in Abuja. They have houses in Abuja. The Nigerian government, out of playing the big border role, gave them. You know, sometimes when they can't even pay workers' salary, Nigeria has stepped forward to give them money. Nigeria bought vehicles for them, patrol vehicles. Recently. President Buhari bought. So this is a country that we spend so much on. But Nigeria is a country that countries that we have helped, increasingly ridicule us, increasingly show disrespect. Some of those frontline states that we helped back then, today they have no regard for us. ECOWAS, we spent more than $15 billion on Sierra Leone and Liberia. We lost more than 20,000 troops. Today, how much respect do they have for us? You know, that's why for me, I don't even want I don't want us to put boots on ground in that place. I expect that the sanctions can work. What I don't want to see is hearing some Nigerian leaders or some clerics or some traditional ruler telling us that we should not apply sanctions. So what do you want us to do? To allow people to simply trample on democracy the way they like? You said they should not go, launch military attack. Okay, we agree. Well, you are even saying now that they should not impose sanctions. What sort of thing is that? That's what some people are saying.
The need to heighten diplomacy is important here. Yeah. Because I'm told that when diplomacy fails, war...
Well, that's why the president has made it clear that, look, our priority is negotiation. And when you talk about negotiation, it takes different forms. Applying sanction where necessary is part of negotiation. Look, if you don't do what we want, we'll pull this back.
That's it.
Do this and we'll give you this. Oh, we are tightening the nose. This is what we want you to do and we're losing it a bit. So before it goes into what we can call open warfare or military action, many steps will have been taken. I am very, very optimistic that it won't get to that, because I do not see the Nigerian coups as people who can go all the way. I am praying.
We've seen leaders who threatened, if you come in here, we'll deal with you. We'll bath with your blood.
And then
before the Gulf War, Saddam
was everywhere.
All kinds of threats.
And then what happened? It was an easy ride.
When they eventually fished him out of edge. When they eventually fished him out of the sewage tank where he was hiding, he was begging the American Marines, please tell President Bush I'm ready for negotiation. Please, please, don't take me away. He was begging. He was hiding inside a sewage pit. You know, people that will say, this very stubborn leader. It's because they've not seen real war. When war is brought, let me just end in a few seconds. When war is brought to your door, you know what war means.